was learning how to write. I was learning the craft.
Well, shit, a lot of these stories would make really good, books.
I actually started with poetry as a kid because I like the rhyming stuff. So I used to write poems and stuff as a kid.
Where I cut my teeth and learned a lot was from reading a bunch of the screenwriting books and then writing a bunch of crappy screenplays.
Ever since I can remember writing, I started writing stories.
I think writing becomes like a drug. Like once you start, it's really hard to actually stop yourself.
Instead of going out with your friends, you're inside chasing the dragon of having breakthroughs with stories and characters and finding those perfect lines.
Use the rhythm of the story to, control how the audience sees the story.
And if you just read the words on the page, you're not engaging in it.
You can tell more of a story with a facial expression than you can from a huge word balloon taking up half the panel.
Sometimes as a writer, you wonder what the hell you're doing.
If you ever think that, am I just making it in the Kantian sense? Am I just making this up? Am I really alive? Am I really experiencing? Am I just an illusion?
The problem with fiction is reality.
You do not want your reader to feel let down.
I can do this. I think I can do this, but I want to do this.
Like when you give somebody a piece of poetry, and it can be someone who hates poetry, and then they read it, and you see that light hit, and you go, oh, I did it. All right, welcome everyone to another episode of Writing Prose. How's everybody doing?
Well, good.
Doing well. How are you?
Thank you for answering. I feel like the panel has forgotten that they need to talk in order to, have it be a panel.
I thought maybe it was like a rookie question. Maybe like I'm the rookie and I'm like the only one that answered, so I'm like a buffoon. Like I got him. He answered.
No, you refresh with my cold glass of milk.
I like that.
Oh my gosh, Justin!
That's a big glass of milk.
Wait! Pinky out.
Oh my gosh, Justin!
Wow, that's very sophisticated, bro.
I can't.
With the pipe.
You are definitely a children's book writer. Like everything about what you just did.
It would have been perfect if like a bubble came out of it. Would have been very Dr. Seuss.
All right, so today we decided, I say we as if this is a democracy, please, this is a totalitarian regime. I decided we're talking about managing expectations. We had some interesting things that were kind of brought up when I was on a different stream, where people were talking about trying to manage expectations as a writer, both within your writing, within your work, as well as kind of how you market it out to people to make sure that what they're expecting to get and what you deliver are on par. And then, of course, we've got the aspects of working with a creative team. So working with an artist and making sure that they're managing what you can actually write. Because as a writer, you could write whatever you want. You could make like the sky's the limit, but as an artist, there are limitations at some point where you're like, I can't depict that in a panel because that's like 4 pages. And so kind of having expectations of you as a writer managed while you're working with, a creative team. So that was the general idea of what today was going to be. So before we dive in, let's just go around the room, let everybody introduce themselves. So start with Luke.
I'm at Death Metal Hero on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. I sing loud, growly songs, and you're welcome to come sing along with me on the Sing Along of Doom. I do artwork. I sculpt. I do all kinds of stuff. Working on a cyberpunk story currently, and I'm working on Shay's horror anthology with her.
Heck yeah. That's going to be awesome. Little Will, you're so high up on the panel today. How does it feel to be up here?
You may have just jinxed it.
Nothing about that. I don't know. I don't care. Yeah, I work for Dan Frega. I help him write his book. It's Pineapple Perception. We have Ass Titty shirts, so please go check those out.
I was first. I got the first one.
They're There's one for the ladies. There's one for the 80s. There's one for the minimalists. Maybe Bancroft would like the minimalist one.
Titty.
Why would I
Please
like
no.
the minimalist one?
I don't know. You just strike me as a minimalist, Bancroft.
Have you
I don't
seen
know,
his art?
I see him.
Did Buddy
in
just
the
walk in?
80s.
I didn't even notice Buddy was there. Hi, Buddy.
But he slipped in. That's
Wait,
what he
like,
does.
I just heard that voice and went, "Who's that silky half Asian voice?" I'm like, "Who is that?"
No.
I'm like, "Oh, it's my buddy, Buddy."
Oh my
Did you
gosh.
notice we have another guest as well? Will, what's going on,
Well,
Nick?
Hello.
Hey, guys.
But he didn't talk. Buddy
I
talked.
thought his dog was like a Primus hair before, for a moment before I actually saw the picture.
Oh
I was
my
like,
God.
"Is that a big brown
Yeah, I
beaver?"
Yeah.
See, look, a bunch of people bought the tea. Thank you very much, Wolverine.
Okay. All right. Let's continue on with the intros since Will likes to derail instantly. Justin, how are you, sir?
I'm good. I'm Dutton. I'm a milk drinker and pipe holder. Also, apparently, I wrote and created a book called Unstitch. You should go check that out on Indiegogo. Indeed.
Are you just chewing the pipe, or do you actually smoke anything in there?
I smoke occasionally, but right now it's a prop. But what I smoke, it's not quite kid appropriate.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Mike, how are you, sir?
I'm very well, Shay. How are you?
Thank you for the only person to even ask how I'm doing. I'm doing well, thank you, sir.
Gentlemen.
Well, to be fair, he's the one that you asked too.
Buddy, it's not your turn. Quiet.
All right, let's keep this train rolling. I'm Michael Bancroft, writer and artist of The Lucent, and I have a YouTube channel, which is just my name. There you go.
Absolutely. And we have first time on the show, John. How are you, sir?
That's right. How are you doing?
Crowd goes wild.
John Hervey. Twitter handle is Beyond Time Inc. I'm a writer of a current graphic novel that's in demand called Black Tiger: Legacy of Fury. 172 pages of comic book glory.
That sounds kung fu-ish.
Very much so, my friend. Very much so. Kung fu and superhero.
Was it the black tiger and then the word fury? Is that what gave you the kung fu feel?
What?
I mean,
It's like 100% what you'd expect.
I just see Kareem Abdul, right there, like
Now,
kicking Bruce Lee through a wall.
Now hold on a second, because didn't Brad Pitt do that movie not too long ago, Fury, with the tanks in World War II?
Yes, but it wasn't called Black Tiger Fury.
Okay.
You put Black Tiger and Fury together. That's obviously
Black Tiger: Legacy of Fury. That's pure kung fu.
It's like every title in the 80s and 90s.
Damn it, buddy.
You guys are horrible. We also have Nick Mack. How are you doing, sir?
I'm hanging in there. You probably hear some of those dogs going insane and my girlfriend yelling at them. So sorry about that.
I love your girlfriend now. My goodness.
Do you know what? I'm so happy because normally I got random like dogs barking in my background, and I'm it's not me this time.
well, we have two girls that are in heat right now, and we also have a couple boys in the house, so it's just chaos.
Oh.
Yep.
Damn.
So yeah, Nick McCary. I've done a few books. I've got a couple books on comic book writing. So I'm I just met recently a couple of you guys and pretty much don't know. You guys obviously know each other. So I'm like, it's a very strange dynamic. You walk in the room, you don't know anybody, but everybody else is, a longtime friend. So okay.
Bro, I'm just pretending.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. It's fine. It's fine. You'll fit right in about 5 seconds when I boot Will for like the 10th time, because it's probably going to happen like that. It's usually how it happens on the show.
See what happens? I'm quiet in the corner. She's still
I
talking
know.
shit.
I'm prepping him so he isn't
fine.
Expectations. Well,
so no matter what I do, I'm going to be attacked. So now I'm going to go full bore.
Oh
So
my
I might as well
gosh.
attack for the defensive.
Well, can you just play nice for like
No.
one Sunday?
No,
Just
I'm
one
like a
Sunday.
hornet.
As a great galactic emperor who brought order to the universe said, "Do it."
Okay. All right, buddy.
I thought you were giving me my exalted name. I was very happy
No.
with you there for a second.
I mean, you're not quite there yet.
See, there you go. I like statistical zeros head. Where's that?
It does lend itself to merch. I'm not gonna lie.
I am like a hornet.
I'm seeing like the whole Peanuts thing, where she always kicked the football or whatever, but it's Will's head.
I would actually buy that shirt.
Buddy, you want
I
to
would
introduce yourself?
wear that shirt to the FanFest con.
Yeah, I love that. That should be like an exclusive for the con. That'd be like one of those that would be one of those like items at that con that everybody would want, and everybody would be trading for it. Like the Batman anniversary hat at San Diego.
She just like brings, it's a contraband. She brings like 15 cards. That's all I got, guys.
That's it.
You want one?
That's all it is.
So
You want one?
It's now my job to make that shirt an in-demand item with my wonderful personality.
Don't kick the Will head.
Buddy, introduce yourself, damn it.
Quickly.
Hello, everyone. I'm Buddy Lord. No. Yeah, my name's Buddy Lord. I wrote Sins of the Fae. It's an awesome fantasy comic book. I've been doing construction for a week, so I don't remember my name very much, actually, right now. But I hope you have a great time watching the show.
All right, so in going with expectation management, so one of the first people I want to get kind of the viewpoint of, partially because he is on a limited time crunch with us, but also because Mike, your campaign sets the bar very, very, very high. Based on your art and the little bit of story that you've shown, I have very, very high expectations of you. So how do you personally feel that you're managing expectations for things like the book that you got coming out?
Well, thank you for those compliments. That's very good to hear. I do get that a lot, actually. People saying, "Oh, I really can't wait for your book." And I think, you get that pang. Oh, I really hope you like it. Something. I mean, this is how I'm interpreting the discussion. Being a writer/artist, I was able to sort of use the art to manage expectations a little bit with the cover. Especially to have people get a feel of what the story is going to be like, what kind of story they're going to be getting. And I think I put up, it's a full page spread. It's split into 2 pages on the campaign. And that's the only pages that I have the writing on the whole campaign. And I thought that kind of set the tone for the sort of story that you're going to be getting. So I feel like, if you can get it off the bat, just let the readers know what sort of story it's going to be. That's how I can manage expectations with myself and think like, well, at least I think you're getting to know what the story is going to be like a little bit there.
Well, and so that's actually an interesting point. Mike is in a very different kind of situation, and Luke is in kind of the same boat where you guys are both artists and writers, so you can kind of play both sides of the field because you know what you're capable of drawing and producing, and you know what story you want to tell, and so you're able to kind of bridge that gap. Whereas, as far as I know, I mean, Nick, I don't know if you do art as well, or
no way. No,
okay.
No. Generally, I kind of hate the people that do everything because they're like super talented, and they can just do whatever they need to do.
Yeah. There we go. That one.
Well, I have found that I don't think about my limitations as an artist when I do write, but at least on every single page, I come across something where I'm sitting there thinking, how the hell am I going to draw this? Honestly. But then I just go hunting for other superior artists who've managed it and just sort of have a look at how they did it. Try and copy them. Sometimes it goes okay.
Yeah, no, that's understandable. And Chris brings up an interesting point. He says, isn't that kind of the reader's problem for having expectations of a story or book that they haven't read yet? Yes and no. So part of the problem is, and now I see why you have to go, Mike, which is hilarious. Mike's going to be live in a minute.
Oh, it's half an hour. It's in half an hour. I just have to. I literally have to move the chair to the other side of the room. That's
I just really like it.
That
I'm like
sounds like a
talking
monumental feat.
Yeah.
Do we need like civil engineers and a couple architects to make that happen, or you know?
No. I can still pick it up. My wife got me doing Pilates last night, so yeah, my muscles are working. I don't know what's going on.
Oh, good. Oh, good. So this is something that I think is kind of interesting, though, is because part of it obviously is some readers have unrealistic expectations based on either the previous work from a specific artist or an author that they've read or somebody that they're familiar with, or a lot of it is based on the artwork. So there's been a lot of books that I've backed that have really, really good looking artwork with dynamic panels and things that look really engaging. And then I get the actual book in my hand and I start reading it and the writing is abysmal. And so basically for me, it turns into, this is a really pretty art book that occasionally is ruined with speech bubbles that I don't really care about. Because I feel like the art does a better job than the writer did in getting across the story.
Right.
So that's one of those things where I would say in that instance, the art overshadowed the storytelling so much that the expectation was it was going to be a phenomenal book and it fell very flat. And like with Mike's, you see the detail and you see the really like dynamic poses and ways that you've kind of constructed a lot of these panels that you've shown people. It gets people thinking of a very, very high caliber book, which means that you have to write to that as well. And every time you show something else that blows people's minds, that's a new bar you have to hit. Not to put pressure on you, but do you feel it?
I've actually just Joe Fulton is going to actually edit it before I go to print. So that as well as taking away a little bit of my anxiety. But yeah, I do get that feeling when you do really put everything into the art that you possibly can. Yeah, of course you want the actual writing and story to match. Absolutely.
Right. Well, and that it's, I don't know. I think it's difficult. Like, so for somebody who is just a writer, I just finished my first paid gig as a writer. It's a short. I'll actually get to talk about it publicly on Thursday, which I'm super, super stoked about. But I guess for me, I'm not an artist, so I don't ever want to feel like I'm stepping on an artist's toes. I don't want to feel like I'm pigeonholing them into exactly what's in my head, because I know how frustrating that can be when somebody has a very clear vision and you just don't see the same vision to try and like meld those two together. So the first draft that I sent in of this thing was 8 pages of comic, and I had it in about 4 pages of Word document. And I was like, here you go. And he was like, okay, this is a good start. It's got some good bones. And I was like, okay. And I was like, so you like where I'm going? He's like, we need more description. And I went, oh, okay, you want more description. So I went in, I ended up cutting the page count for the comic down, so it was a lot more streamlined. But I sent him, like, I literally just sent it over a 14-page document that had reference photos. It had like very descriptive everything. And I was like, this is what I see. So my expectation management was I'm going to under deliver on the first bit to see if you even like the direction that I'm going with the story. And if you tell me that you like it and you just want more detail, I can bring more detail to it and give you something that, you're happy with. So I gave them something that they were really happy with. And they said, yeah, I think the artist is really going to dig this. And you gave him a ton of really great references that really show what it is you were trying to get at. And I was like, okay. Like, I'm glad you're happy.
Who was your in-between? Was it an editor? Is it a publisher?
Yes.
Or? Okay.
Yeah. So it's what I'm doing is a short of a main project. So I'm doing like a backstory.
Gotcha.
That's a super short backstory. So it's not basically I've been allowed to play in someone else's playground. But yeah, it was really exciting. And I think that that's one way that I try to manage expectations with my writing, because I can't produce that art. So when I'm doing my anthology, it's going to be very difficult because I'm going to have to manage my own expectations, and that I'm going to have to find the right artist for the right pieces to produce the right art, or I'm not going to be happy and they're going to be frustrated and it's going to not turn out to be what we want it to be overall. Who else has any kind of an opinion on how they go through and manage expectations?
You know what?
Oh, go ahead, bro.
Yeah, go ahead, Justin.
Okay. So, for Unstitch, Laura will not be doing part 2. So I'm actually going to be retitling Unstitch as, like, instead of part 1 of 2, chapter 1, and then chapter 2, because I'm having a different artist, different art style. So that's a slight way of just redoing the title, like that, of managing expectations of, yeah, it's a different chapter, different art style. Now for me, my expectation, I don't know. I just try to get as much of the comic done when we launch, to kind of go, hey, if you're expecting a book, you're gonna get a book, because it's pretty much done. It's just not printed. So doing more of the legwork yourself is kind of how you can assure expectations, I guess.
What about you, John? What were you gonna say?
See if I can figure out mute and unmute. So I've done this once. So in terms of expectations with the artist, especially when you're working on a project of your own, first you've already gone through the painstaking process of finding the artist that you really want to work with, and then kind of writing is really rewriting. So after I've gone through a few iterations of the script, I like to kind of throw the kitchen sink at the artist, and I like an artist that pushes back. So that's why my artist Rod is like, on Black Tiger, he's really great, and we've worked together for a long time, and he knows I've got these grand ideas, and I've it's a kung fu book, so I have choreographed kung fu fights, in the book, and I've got tons of references from movie clips to martial arts books that go through different styles, and in a healthy way. He's also the guy that says, yeah, that thing you're asking for right there, I mean, that's not going to translate well, or that's going to be so I personally, I like the iterative process. I like the back and forth. Mm-hmm. I'm probably going to ask for probably a little bit. I'm going to ask on the high side, and then you want the artist to feel comfortable enough to be able to say, like, or sometimes he says things that amaze me, and we go in a slightly different direction. So there are parts of the book that were actually inspired by some things that he had. So which mean that, like, now I've got to go back to the scripting, and so I mean, this script has been written and rewritten so many times, not in a bad way, but just iteratively, as the production process has kind of moved on. And then I guess I'm going to speak. If I speak about the campaign, I mean, Shay, I'm in terms of marketing, I'm not a genius. So I'm, in terms of the way that I structured, I put kind of the red thread in the kind of title part. So when you go to Indiegogo, like, you see kind of like brother versus sister, you kind of see what the red thread of the story is. I have a little bit of an overview at the beginning, and I kind of let people know more of, like, hey, you know, this is kind of the magnitude in terms of like the size of the book you're going to get, you know, kind of overall feel. Well, this is what the overall feel of the story is going to be like. And then I let some of the art do the talking from there. So I actually, you know, for better or for worse, I didn't get into, because there's a number of, you know, plot A's and plot B's and plot C's that run through the story. And, you know, with the anticipation of making you hungry for the next graphic novel. And yeah, so I didn't expound upon that maybe as much as I could have or should have. And I'd love to hear what other people did, actually. You know, just in terms of setting expectations for people.
What about Nick?
Well, you know, expectations, you're talking about reader expectations, right? So, I mean, honestly, I don't really get into that headspace too much because I think that could really drive you nuts. I mean, if I understand kind of what we're talking about,
Yeah.
I think that you have to be more in tune with your own expectations, what you're trying to accomplish, you know, what you want from your artist and what you want from the story, where you're going with the story. I think that's super paramount because a lot of times writers don't even really know where they're going. They, you know, they have like this core idea and then they kind of drift around. But for me personally, I try to get in my right headspace and just do my best that I'm enjoying it. And that to me, that like translates that if I'm enjoying it, then my fans are going to enjoy it. And that's just kind of where I leave it.
That's fair. Will, what about you?
I mean, I think I have the opposite problem. That actually not problem. It's actually an advantage, but it's the opposite of what Michael Bancroft is going through because everyone has seen his work and they know him, and they're expecting a lot from him because he's Michael Bancroft.
Yeah.
And you know, with our book, with Black Flag, a lot of this work of expectations kind of done for us because let's face it, Black Flag comes from an era of comics, which is essentially the hair metal era of comics, right? It's a lot of flash, a lot of hot girls, a lot of big guns, not a lot of substance there, but who gives a shit? You know, I was a 13-year-old who enjoyed that. And because of that, that's what people are buying. On that strength, people are buying the book. And they're not expecting what's going to be in there ultimately. And we are very well aware of that. So
what's in there ultimately?
Well, wouldn't you like to know? Which is why, you know, we play up the ass titty and the, you know, Kodiak and waxing, all the Frege isms, because we that stuff is going to be in there, but we're hoping that you'll be enjoying the stuff the more mature stuff that comes along, because Dan's matured as an artist, he's matured as a storyteller, and you're going to see that come forth in the subsequent issues after issue 1. So that's the thing that's going on with us. I think it's an advantage in our case. On a personal note, sorry, my injured cat is whining. On a personal note, no one has any expectations for me, so I'm doing okay. Because
I don't think that's true at all.
No one knows who the fuck I am.
Yeah, but that doesn't matter. You are the man behind the scenes that must live up to Frage's artwork.
Well, here's the thing: is that Frage's artwork will do a lot of the work for you.
To an extent, but it's like what Shay said, right? Is that like she was talking about, like she's gotten a lot of books that are, you know, they're pretty coloring books, but they don't really have much in the inside. And if this is supposed to be a real book that people are going to go all the way to issue 4 on or something like that, right? Like, or a series rather, then yes, they are counting on you. They are like, they're going, I don't know who that is, but he better do a damn good job. Because if he screws Frage's artwork up, he's going to have hell to pay. You understand, boy?
Well, I will say you have the fact that if somebody like Dan Frege chose you, right, to work on his book, with the level of professional that Frege is, if he chose you, you had better shit gold. Like, that is the idea, because Frege isn't going to have somebody who he thinks is just ho-hum. Like, he's not going to take a chance on like a total nobody that he doesn't think can hack it. He's bringing in somebody that he knows is very talented, that he knows is going to deliver. Because
he didn't take a hobo off the street, you know?
Right.
You know, I look like one.
I would say look like a hobo. Not today, anyway.
I didn't realize this is the stream to make all writers have anxiety attacks.
Well, I do want to add.
You better not fuck it up.
On two things about what you guys just said. One, I'm on the book because I'm like one of probably 4 people Dan knows that he can trust like 110%. And 2, in terms of my feelings approaching it, I do like the challenge of working for someone else. I like going into someone's world and this is your parameters. This is what I want. And then kind of producing stuff for them and them going, that's shit, that's good. And going back to the anvil. I do enjoy that.
Yeah.
I like, it's like an actor, right? An actor wants to please with every take, right? It's like, how was that one? How was that one? How was that one? You can do it a little better.
Right.
Some people don't like that, and that gives them anxiety, or that it makes them feel rejected. I kind of get off on that. I like the kind of push and pull of work like that.
You like the criticism and the challenge to try and push you to become better.
Yeah, because it's fun.
I'm the same way.
Well, he likes the reason. He likes the reason. He wants a reason to do that kind of thing. I don't know. You seem like we were talking about before. You said in your school and everything, they always said you were the dumbest kid, so you just work harder than everybody. And you're saying now what you're essentially saying is I wasn't chosen as a writer. I'm just a guy. And so how are you going to overcome that? You're going to work harder than everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, the guy who I admire the most as a writer is Chuck Dixon. And I admire Chuck Dixon because he's a worker and he can do anything. So if you ask him to write Powerpuff Girls, he'll write you Powerpuff Girls. If you ask him to write Punisher, he'll write Punisher. And because I appreciate artists, journeymen who are good at kind of everything more so than, a specialized craftsman like Alan Moore who can do one thing really well. Right. And he's good at that. More power to him. I just I like dudes who can just weld anything to anything, and they can make they can make anything out of anything, whether it's string or steel. They can do it. Those guys I admire.
Well, so this is something that I think is actually kind of interesting that I've seen. And Buddy, I haven't forgotten that you haven't said anything yet. So one of the things that I think is interesting is almost every single person who has talked about anything has said. Basically, there's been a whole lot of self-deprecation where you're like, I'm just trying to fake it till I make it, or I'm just trying to put something out and hope people don't hate it. And I think that as a writer, in order to kind of counteract the ego that comes with being like the superstar behind any specific kind of project, you need a little bit of a self-deprecating attitude to know that I knew what I first put out was going to be not what we ended with, and it wasn't going to be something I was going to be happy going to print, but I needed to put something out so I could get the feedback to see where the person I'm working for sees it going. And it's like you put out stuff to get the negative feedback and say this is too wordy, this isn't punchy enough, this doesn't make any sense, try again. And I think that that's what keeps everyone kind of centered into not sucking. For lack of a better way to put it. Or I can be totally off base. I like how everyone's just silent. I love when
No, I mean, I think you have to be. We're all in essence, we are creators or performers, and we have their same hang-ups, which is if you want to be a good writer, then or a creator of any kind, there's got to be a hole inside of you that has to be filled, and it doesn't, and it can never really be filled, but you're going to keep trying. And in that sense, we all have that kind of brokenness to us. Every good writer is broken in some way.
Fabulous.
I mean, but that's the thing though, is if everything is perfectly hunky-dory, it's really hard for creativity and innovation to exist in a perfect idealized world where everything is always sunshine and rainbows and there's never any dark and dismal and there's no struggle. How do you write?
Yeah, I mean, if you're not looking for any answers, you won't find any.
Right. If everything's always handed to you, you can't create it.
On the opposite of that, because that's probably true that if everything is going right, it's hard to tap into other things because you're in that one particular mindset. But when everything's going wrong, which I don't know about you guys, but in my writer's life, that happens, more often than I'd like to admit. That also becomes hard to write from.
Oh, absolutely.
So
you have to be in this weird balance of like doing okay-ish. Like,
Well, isn't that management?
oh,
What do you mean by like? I don't understand what you guys are talking about. What do you mean by like to get in the headspace to write? What do you meaning by doing okay-ish? Like I don't understand. Like
Well,
like are you
like-
talking about the business of writing? Like what do you mean?
like for a person to be able to even write, if your life has never had any struggle or any kind of issues that you've had to overcome, how do you write? You write like a lot of these like really ridiculous SJW ones where it's the end of the world because their roommate didn't take out the trash and now they have to, and oh my gosh, it's
Well,
so hard.
again, that's where my advantage comes in of working for someone else is that I don't have to have that. I have a checklist, right? It's like this has got to get done, and it's somebody else's checklist, right? And like for example, Black Flag 0.5, right? I had to produce 6 pretty in-depth outlines for that book to kind of give a nice little mix of stuff for people to choose from that are artists.
Right.
Yeah.
And that got done in 2 days, and it was very easy to write. It kind of wrote itself, but it wasn't like it didn't feel like I was being creative. It felt like I was doing the work, right? Like there was a job to get done, it got done, right? That's how I saw it anyways.
Sure.
Well, and just like Statty says here, sometimes writing is simply a puzzle. How does it all fit together? Word Tetris doesn't always need a broken person, just a curious mind.
Right, but there you go. That's a better way to put it. I mean,
That
I don't want
is,
to
yeah.
shit on Buddy or anything because I think that does come in handy when you're broken for certain phases of your life. I mean, but eventually you become unbroken and you kind of grow out of that. You know, we've all written broken and we've all produced our broken work. I mean, if you're in your 30s or 40s, you've done it. I'm guessing the panel. Yes, no, maybe so.
Yeah.
We could have a week-long discussion on that. I mean, I am a clinical psychologist, but
We're not going
So-
down that path this time.
That's what I'm
you
saying.
don't write broke. You just write other people's broken. You're a psychiatrist. You're like, Bob has
Collecting
these
broken
issues.
people.
Yeah, man. That's what you do. Your job is to look at everybody as they're broken and go, how can I manipulate them?
But
How
see,
can
that
I make money?
How
that
can
in
I?
and of
How can I
itself
just
is-
change your name and keep your story?
I mean,
that
there's a
in and
reason
of
why.
itself is a creative mind, though. That's a curious mind for you to be a psychiatrist or a psychologist, because the whole point is you're going to talk to somebody, hear what their problems are, and figure out what it is in their head that's fucked that makes them process something in a way that other people don't process it. Or are they even broken? Maybe they're just
I mean,
going
what is
through
a
regular
story?
emotion.
What is a story, right? We talked about this before. What is a story? A story is a hero. The hero wants something. There's something in their way, either a villain or the plot or whatever. There's your story. They want something more than anything. They have to go get it. They'll die if they don't go get that thing. And there's something in their way. Okay, how do you write that if you've never been in a situation like that? How do
That's
you write
true.
struggle if you've never been in a struggle?
So this is
But at the end of the day, though, everybody on the planet has experienced struggle. in one
You've
way or the other.
experienced some
That's a
kind of struggle, but
that's a part of
like,
life. Everybody's lost people. Everybody's been
but were you ready
disappointed.
for it?
Everybody's been hurt.
Did you have the
everybody's been
mechanisms in place
betrayed.
to deal with it? Could you handle it, or did it break you? Did it nearly make you kill yourself? Did you go through the? You see what I'm saying? Everybody handles it differently.
But you don't need to nearly kill
I
yourself
think,
to be a writer.
Buddy, we need kind of like a maximal quality here because, like, okay, are we talking about Shay like having a drink and struggling to get out of bed tomorrow for the gym, or are we talking about like someone hurting you so badly you want to put a gun in your mouth and blow your brains out? So let's have a bit of a measuring here. So what are we talking about? So when we say struggle, what do we mean by that?
Well, what I'm saying is that like we're all heroes in our own lives. You all want something, but there's also like something that you want to fill that you can't. Whatever it is, relationship goals, society, social. You're saying that you'll never feel like you're the smartest person in the room, so you have to fill your room with books and knowledge, and you want to know these things. You want to work harder than everybody else to make absolute sure that you gave your best effort, that when the time is asked, when you're at that great white throne judgment of knowledge, that you will have the answer. And if you don't, you know that you did your best.
Well, and so
And that's really the expectation, isn't it?
Gabe said something here that I kind of wanted to touch on. He says, I know it isn't comics, but as a stand-up comedian comic, Pete Holmes has a great interview about writing while happy. He's a happy dude, but he still writes edgy comedy. I'm not saying you have to be actively broken in order for you to write. What I'm saying, like I'm actually a pretty happy individual. I was gonna say 99. I'm gonna have to say about 90-ish% of the time because I'm going through some shit. But usually I'm a pretty happy person. I'm not sitting here suicidal. I'm not, constantly breaking down. But I can tap into multiple points throughout my life where things have not been easy, where things have been difficult, where I've had to gain a different perspective, or I've had people around me who have gone through a lot of really difficult things. And all of those experiences are things that I can use to try and help make my writing a lot more relatable to other people.
I think people are thinking of broken as like depressed. Broken does not mean depressed. Broken means incomplete.
Literally every person on the planet is broken.
Yeah.
Unless you have somehow achieved enlightenment, you're fucking broken.
It just means you
Mike
want...
is the only not broken one here.
I mean, if you give me peach rings, I'm no longer broken for like the 5 minutes I'm eating those.
Well, so it's funny that you're putting it like this, but it sounds like what you're saying is we're kind of talking about physics here, right? We're sort of saying what moves you to do something, right? Like you're moved because you're trying to fulfill something. You're trying to reconcile an opposite. You're trying to put it together into one and become something new as you fulfill yourself, right? Something like that. I don't know, because I think that depends on what your belief system is. Because what motivates me is curiosity. So, for example, I'll be reading something, I don't know, I could be reading some Tacitus or something, and I'll say, this is really cool, what happened in here. And I want to explore this, but let me explore it in a story, right? Like, I can explore what I'm curious about. That's what's moving me is curiosity, not necessarily fulfilling. I'm chasing an idea, right? So I think that can move you as well, right? Not necessarily the need to reconcile something.
So this is probably off target a little bit, but what I always say is that a writer's work is a direct reflection of who they are as a person, right? So if you're an interesting person, then your work is going to be cool and interesting. And what I see so much in comics a lot these days is that people writing just don't seem like they're interesting people. The work just seems kind of flat and, like if I met them in a bar, I probably wouldn't have a drink with them. I'd be like, okay, whatever, dude.
Right? Well, inauthentic. It all comes across as hollow.
But not even hollow. Just that they have such a limited scope of what they find interesting, and what inspires them. And you could see it in their work. Like there's no spectrum of, you could say like their life experience, but it's even simpler than that. There's just no kind of exposure to a variety of stuff. It's just whatever.
Well, they're just dull, Nick.
Yeah.
I mean, they're dull people, and most SJWs are dull people.
All right.
Oh, were we talking about the 9 million pages where people are like eating cake?
No, we're not talking. We're not going to talk about that at all. Jason, thank you very much, sir, for the $2. Money for Shay to get up tomorrow and hit the gym. Fine. I'll get up and run.
Why is everybody bothering Shay to go to the gym?
It's okay. This is like the second time that Jason has given me money to go
I need that shit.
So it's fine.
Is that for like the bang to get up? I mean,
I don't. It adds up. And Stat Zero had a really good point, and this is probably more what I tap into, because it's really arrogant to think that you personally are the only, you've gone through everything that you're ever going to write, which is not true at all. But if you are able to be empathetic about various situations and positions that some of your characters might be put in, the likelihood that you're going to be able to be a much more effective writer is a lot higher, because empathy is a really good skill for people to learn. Will, I know that that's a foreign word to you, but it's okay.
I'm highly empathetic.
Will's got a lot of empathy, actually.
You know what? When Will left to get his cat and his hair was down, I was like, yo, he kind of looks like Jesus.
Thank you.
No, I think that's why he is the way he is.
I thought he looked more like Rolo.
Don't feed into his ego.
My ego is very contained. Buddy, you tell him, buddy, please.
I think people misunderstand usually or misappropriate empathy and sympathy.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. Sympathy doesn't require any of you. Empathy requires you to take something personally.
What's that old adage, walk a mile in somebody else's shoes? Like empathy is being in the feeling with someone in the moment. And I think like the deal about empathy is you're not going to be able to write empathy if you don't practice empathy. And empathy is painful. Sometimes it hurts because you can be. It's easy to be in the happy with someone, right? Let's do it. Well, actually, it's not always easy, but everybody can. Get in there, have a few drinks, participate, man. Do that kind of thing, right? But can you sit in the dark with someone?
Yeah.
Can you be in that in the silence, not saying anything, letting them, after I don't know, like whatever they tell you something, I'm coming out as homosexual. I've been an abusive relationship, father, whatever. Can you be in that moment with them? Not say anything, not try to give them any kind of help, because that's what a lot of people do. You try to offload this sort of like emotion or whatever onto this other person, but it's like no, like we got to manage this together, and the way that we do this is I'm going to feel the same feeling and we're going to share it is the best way to say
For
it.
most people, that's not being able to offer some sort of solution is really difficult.
Exactly. Yep.
Yes, Christopher C. I love sitting in the dark by myself.
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
The dark is, I love the dark.
I just like it.
I love the dark. It's my favorite thing.
Well, how else
I
do you
like
sleep?
it, even though it is the main enemy of Unstitch.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
the darkness.
His artist made the darkness have eyeballs. Like, it's super fucky. It's great. I love it.
Well, that's one way to say that they're always watching you.
And it goes to the band The Darkness.
Well,
Hello.
I'm going to show you a freaky
My old friend.
teddy bear duckling.
I can't wait for my nightmare berry. It's gonna be so
Oh, you mean this thing?
Oh, there it is.
Well, Justin, when me and Dan were
with the dead bears,
exchanging gossip about everyone we despise in Comicsgate, 2 of which are on the panel, Frege did tell me that he the one thing he said about Unstitch was that shit is magical.
Yeah, it's true.
You should quote that.
It's very.
oh
Frege
man,
said.
talk about managing expectations.
Justin's like, fuck.
Well, that'd be a good blurb. Like, put it on the Indiegogo. Quote,
Yeah.
that shit is magical,
Magical.
Dan Frege.
That's a perfect
Put it in the
book.
back of the book. Like, go through
Hey, yeah, my
the
book is
quote.
appropriate for all ages. Get it for your kid, age 8. By the way, on the back of the book it says that shit is magical. Dan Frege.
Like, Dan Frege.
Well, you
Just bleep it out with symbols.
that
Oh, works
stuff
totally.
is magical. That's all you gotta say. That stuff is magical.
Well, I wanted to be
That's
authentic to the actual words that were spoken.
Just do the bracket, so it's like this isn't what was actually said.
May or may not have actually happened.
Michael,
Yes.
how much more time do you got before you gotta go, hon?
I was just talking to Patrick. He's actually stuck in traffic, so I can hang around.
Oh, fantastic!
Cool.
Yeah. Well, you've been quiet for a while, so
I've been swooping between eating lunch and DMing. So sorry about that, but I've been listening very carefully.
I wholeheartedly believe you. I'm just trying to put you on the spot right now to make you talk while you're still here.
Do it.
What's for
Put
lunch?
me on the
She just did.
Yeah.
Crumbed chicken. What you guys call it? You guys have another word for it up there.
Wait, what did you say it was?
Breaded. You call it breaded.
Fried chicken.
Oh,
Fried chicken.
Oh.
Yeah, but it wasn't fried. It's air cooked.
Was it from the Colonel?
It's
Oh, was
air
it from the Colonel?
Air
It's
cooked,
much,
mate.
much more sophisticated
chicken.
than a southern fried chicken. Don't you understand?
Do you guys have
want
the
it-
Colonel in Australia?
Oh yeah. We love a bit of KFC down here.
except it's not chicken. It's those giant fucking spiders and shit that you guys have. They just deep fry.
Oh my
those.
god. Like the fucking half a forest covered in spider webs. Oh fuck no.
The ones that
I
are
had-
like the size
you know
of
what?
trash cans and stuff. You know. Like,
Hey, you know what? I had a deep fried blood spider in Thailand once. It was pretty good. All right,
Oh.
take like lobster.
Of course you would, buddy.
Yeah, no, I'm good.
That what was that movie? That Leonardo DiCaprio movie, The Beach, was based on Buddy's life.
I was bored, went to a pirate island. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh my
Totally
goodness.
makes sense.
It's
All of
just
this
Aussie
makes sense.
voodoo. Damn, Jason.
Aussie voodoo.
That's right.
It's that dream time, man. You got to get into it.
I just want Bancroft every time to say like "crikey," you know.
I am a human being, God. I am not a performing animal.
You're not a dancer.
Monkey.
He's not. He's
Dance,
not a
kangaroo, dance.
That's right.
Mike, we love you. That's why we want you on the panel.
And everyone thinks everyone knows each other in Australia, probably. It's like, hey, do you know John? You're like,
He's like a koala. He just drops in, you know.
But there's only 25 million of us, so we do all know.
Oh yeah, you know everyone. Come on.
I do that with friends in
Hey.
England. I'm like, hey, do you know my buddy Rick? It's like, who?
Do people say that every time they find out I'm from Utah? And they're like, do you know Chris? And I'm like, I know like 30 Chris's. Which one would you like?
I think they would ask you about your magic underwear first.
No, that's usually the third question, oddly enough.
What?
Yeah.
Hey,
okay,
how are
hold
you?
on.
Do you know, Chris? What color's your underwear?
No, is it magical? That's what.
No,
the,
no,
is it
yeah,
magical?
it's not
Are there
magical.
like questions on Tinder? What are we?
So no. Okay.
This is more
All
than
right.
inside stuff.
We're doing this. I'm gonna have to explain it because it's the LDS Church has something called temple garments. When you go through and get sealed to somebody in the temple, you get temple garments. The idea is nobody should ever see your garments except for your spouse. It's a one way to keep you dressing conservatively. It's also to try and keep you chaste and all of that. So people who are not Mormon have decided that Mormons feel that their temple garments, because it's something that they revere, is magical, and they refer to them as magic underpants. So whenever you meet a Mormon, one of the questions usually that comes out of somebody's mouth will go, do you never drink? Do you eat chocolate because it has caffeine in it? And do you have magic underpants? So
My mom still
usually
has
the-
hers.
and the best part is I'm just from Utah. I'm not even Mormon, but it happens.
Well, I mean, you know, this is the entire religion that was found with like the plate in the ground with the magical glasses, and let's go west and find the sacred land. So you
we're
know,
not touching it. Not like that. Yep.
You know what? If
Go
I
watch
could
South
time
Park.
travel, I would legitly put golden plates in just to be like, "Hey Joe, what's up?"
I was imagining like she had some like magic writing underpants or something. I'm like, what? She's got to always
No.
wear those when she writes. I mean, what's going on?
Wow. No.
She
We're
really
not
looked like
talking
a
about
superstitious type.
Right.
I have no idea what's happening anymore.
I came
Don't
for
worry about it.
expectations in writing, and I got magic underpants.
This is how this goes, Mike. This is why people
I always
tune
seem
out.
to be able to derail the discussion.
Okay. So to get back on the topic, Gabe had an interesting question. He said, what are your expectations from publishers? Which is something I think would be kind of interesting to hear from a writer.
Aren't we the publishers in this case?
Yeah, I have none.
I didn't.
We
What
have
did
no
you say to that?
expectations of your publishers.
I have no.
The book I gave you.
I am the publisher. You know.
I expect my motherfucking ass to work. That's what I expect. Yep.
I expect to be
That's why I'm
crazy
in
by the
last
end of
of the
this.
league.
That's what.
See, and it depends though. Like I'm working for somebody, so I literally was a contract writer. Like I was just brought in to do one thing, and that was it. And so I don't know, to keep my story intact as I gave it to them. I guess.
Yeah,
Like,
respect my voice.
yeah, like don't fuck it, please. Like don't fuck it and then put my name on it. Like I don't want that. That's
No.
Well, I guess Will's in that position right now, right? I mean, you're fundamentally working for a publisher. You know?
Pretty much. And
yeah.
I mean, all I can really repeat is the same thing I said before: is that I think it's easier on my end because I'm just sort of waiting around to be activated most of the time. You know, because if there's nothing to do, there's nothing to do. And like the way we're doing Pineapple Perception is Dan wants to kind of do it very organically, which means it's going to get done very quickly, which is cool.
Yeah.
He kind of wants to draw it like he did with the Grave.
Yeah.
He kind of don't. He wanted the Grave was sort of a prototype for Pineapple Perception.
Yeah, I'm not laughing at you, bro. I'm just reading what Unhinged Entertainment wrote. No, but I think for
John did
a lot of us are publishers. So I mean, if we have artists that we are hiring, my expectation of the artist is just to make sure that we understand timetables. I mean, I have a responsibility. I need to make sure that I'm paying my artist in a timely fashion. But I also need to make sure that my artist is producing kind of in a timely fashion. So in terms of expectation, I'm sure that's the reason why Dan uses Will. Is at the end of the day, you can have somebody that's amazingly talented, but if they can't, if they can't produce on the schedule that they said they're going to produce in, you got problems, man.
Well, I have this, John, and that could have been a slick diss for all I know. He's like, oh, you're not talented, but.
No, but I wasn't trying to diss because it's a combination. You got to be talented, but you also got to be able to produce in time, right?
I know. I'm just kidding with it, but I want to add this to what you're saying, though.
Yeah,
is that one of my responsibilities going forward will be the editor and sort of the watcher of the IPs. So it will be my job, even when we hire a writer to do a book, to kind of write it with him, because I have to make sure it's staying within the continuity. They're not going outside of it. Because if you get hired to write Batman, for example, you can't just do whatever you want, right? There's going to be somebody saying, here's your parameters for Batman. You can't go outside of that. So technically, I'm going to be a publisher working with other writers. That's going to be my job within the company.
Yeah.
So
Unhinged brought up a good point. He says, I think that he might mean other publishers like Marvel, DC. So do we have expectations of how writing and stuff will be handled with bigger people?
Support. I do. And for the most part, I feel like they are failing. Spread out. One, I expect almost top of the line art, because the way I look at them is those two are essentially supposed to be the cream of the crop of comics. They are the NFL. They are the big leagues. And I feel like they are hiring a lot of artists that do not reflect that. I mean, that's just me. I also expect writers to go, okay, well, this is how characters have acted. This is their history. Let's, keep with it and build upon it and not just go, that feels like a lot. Let me just sideswipe everything and, completely change the character because I just don't feel like writing the character how the character is.
Yeah, that's probably one of my biggest pet peeves when it comes to other publishers is when you take an established character that has this is their personality, this is their interactions with other people, the relationships that have already been cemented and built. And you go, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to write Batman, but I'm going to write Batman as if he was, I don't know, Squirrel Girl. And you're like,
I'm gonna randomly have Jean Grey go, hey, Iceman, you're gay.
Yeah,
What are you doing,
stuff like
Gene?
that where you just have to
such
change.
Sequence.
If you take a character and you literally like the aesthetic, but everything that makes that character, you have to change. You need to write a new character. You need to create your own character with an entirely different everything, because that's what you're doing, but you're trying to do it with an established character, which means you're really just IP hopping and trying to make money off of a namesake.
So my take on this goes back to what I was saying before, where it goes back to the writer as a person, like they can only project who they fundamentally are as a person, right? And these people that are doing those things, they can't write anything else because that's where they live. The guy who's taking Batman and writing him as Squirrel Girl, they don't know how to write Batman as he should be written, as he's been classically written for the last 75 years or whatever.
Right. Well, and at that point, I feel like you have to have writer's integrity. If somebody were to say, like, hey, I want you to write this, and that's outside of your realm, you have to have the integrity to say, I can't write that character.
No, they don't care about that. They just want to get
Of
their
course they
check.
don't. They care about the paycheck.
Yeah. And I can't really blame them, right? Because they want to make their money and do their thing. It's the people hiring them that, you know, they're responsible.
That's true.
And don't forget. I mean, not conspiracy theory mode, but people have their own agendas that they're trying to push. You know, and sometimes it's not so much that people, you know, maybe can't, but people have an objective and something that they want portrayed. I mean, some of these changes, I've got to believe, are very much intentional, not just simply because someone can't write a certain way, but because they are trying to make a cultural shift, you know, and you know, in terms
of a natural way to do it, rather than overriding what was there. Create something new.
That's my thought exactly. My thought exactly is like, you know what? It's like, you know, don't undermine what the property is.
Yes.
You know, but the reason why you undermine what the property is because you're trying to reach the people that are traditionally reading that property. You know, so instead of creating something new, they want to turn the X-Men into something that it was never intended to be. They want to turn characters into something that they were never intended to be, you know, in the first place. And they call that progress.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and I think the other problem, and this kind of goes down to what Nick was talking about as well, this inability to get outside their own solipsisms and say, okay, what is Batman? What is Superman? But I also think that each one of them thinks of themselves as sort of a mini revolutionary. And because they are trying to actualize themselves based on their identities, whether it be whatever it is, right? If it's a racial identity or a sexual identity or a combination of those, they look at these characters as sort of opposites of what they are. So when they see Batman, they might not even see Batman. They see patriarchy, or they see white male oppression, or they see something that is an opposite of what their identity is. And in order to kind of actualize themselves, they got to reconcile that by essentially combining it with themselves, destroying it, making it what they are.
Everywhere you will find them.
You know, one of the challenges I think that the big two are facing now are just the fact that in terms of creativity and in terms of, you know, really creating new characters. I mean, not just spin-offs of characters. I mean, when was the last time they really brought to the market new characters? I mean, don't get me wrong. I like some of the stuff that's being done. Like, for instance, in the Spider-Man universe, you know what? Miles Morales is cool, but at the end of the day, though, Peter Parker's still my Spider-Man because that's the Spider-Man I grew up with.
Right.
So somebody says Spider-Man, that's Peter Parker. That's who Spider-Man is. You know, and at the end of the day, even if
they had to get rid of Peter Parker for Miles Morales.
And you know what? But we know how all this stuff. That's all sensationalism. We know that. Just like people don't stay dead, we know that that won't stick for any period of time. And even as somebody that's African American, you know what? I don't want to see Sam Wilson as Captain America. Steve Rogers is Captain America. Let Sam Wilson be the Falcon. That's who he is.
Right.
You know, I mean,
just badass as the Falcon.
Just let, you know, it's like you don't have to do these things because you're not. I don't know who it's appeasing. It's not appeasing me.
That's what I meant, John. It's a revolutionary act. It's not that we can't have Miles Morales and Peter Parker side by side. It's Miles Morales is a revolutionary against what Peter Parker represents. So he has to usurp Spider-Man and be the new Spider-Man to get rid of the old Spider-Man. You know.
So now I have a question. So if we're going to, if this is kind of where they're going, which is what they've been doing with a lot of these characters, is they're bringing in characters that are polar opposites of what they always were and saying this is now your new Spider-Man, Wonder Woman, She-Hulk, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
How come in Flash they've been able to successfully completely change that character over and over again because it turns into a family lineage, and you have many Flashes. You have like Barry Allen is my Flash. That's the Flash that I love. But you have Jay Garrick,
Wally
the
West.
original. You've got Wally West. You've got all these different Flashes, and there are people that will have entire debates about who is the actual Flash that everybody loves and wants to follow. And it really kind of shows when you got into comics.
But you know, it's only certain characters in the DC universe that can do that. It's only Flash.
Green Lantern is also one.
Green
Like
Lantern.
Hal Jordan is the Green Lantern. Nah, John Stewart is the Green Lantern, but
Yeah.
you know what? People still like go. I like all of them.
Alan
but
Scott.
yeah, this one
the
is.
Green Lantern.
But no one says that one.
I think Luke just did.
Whatever. Hey. Listen,
No
I
one
don't
says that one.
DC. Okay.
We go Kyle, Guy, kind of, John, and Hal.
The thing is there's been, just like you said, like Green Lantern, Flash, they've both managed to do it, and yes, it is still a limited pool of people who could become that, right?
Well, Green
In
Lantern
order
has a
for you-
core. So,
Yeah. Right.
you know, and the Flash has the Speed Force and the ability to be wherever he wants to be. So it works, you know, but anybody else.
Batman.
But with Batman, Bruce Wayne is Batman. Anybody else in that suit is just temporary or they're a pretender. Bruce Wayne is Batman. That's it.
Until you can get rid of the old books and burn them up. Right? I mean, but like this is what I keep saying, John, is
What?
that we keep saying that he is Batman, but if we're constantly trying to do year zero, because you got to remember that we're talking about comics, right? But comics are part of this overall culture war, let's call it that, right? That extends into movies, into the media, into theater, and it's full of revolutionaries. They're just always trying to start to year zero. And we may say right now that Bruce Wayne is Batman because we're live and we know Bruce Wayne. They're not thinking of right now. They're thinking 20 years from now when they're like, Bruce who? Because we burned all those books, right?
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about.
1984 going on there.
Exactly.
But you know what? I'll tell you. I spoke about this on Shay's show last night. I remember when New Mutants came out. When New Mutants #1 came out, me and my boy went to the. It wasn't even like a comic book shop. I mean, we went to a bookstore and we picked it up, and me and my friend were like, man, we just got our generation's X-Men. We got the first book of our generation's X-Men. The thing was like the challenge that we have with our stories is that there's not, and believe me, I love American comics. I'm not a manga guy. The one thing I like about manga is that the stories progress and they go forward. The challenge we have is they just keep rebooting our same people. So, I mean, that's why you got to blow up the universe. That's why you got to have a crisis. You know, you got to continually have crises so that Bruce Wayne can be Batman. Other people it works for because, you know, Clark Kent's kind of eternal, but maybe Lois Lane isn't around. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's a challenge. And then every time kind of the universe gets blown up, people want to recreate it in their own image, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now the X-Men aren't who the X-Men were. You know, all of a sudden you start getting these funky versions of people.
He's talking about the Hickman run. Talking about the Hickman run where nobody was really acting like themselves.
Well, and I mean that's the thing is if it's run into how the story plays out, like Green Lantern, you have to be chosen by the ring, right? The ring will find a worthy person. You put it on and accept it. Boom, you're Green Lantern. That's how it works. Not just anyone can be a fucking Green Lantern. It doesn't work like that, right? It's the same thing with Flash.
But Guy Gardner can be a Green Lantern, though. Just saying.
I know. But
Well, that's why he's not top 3. It's Hal, John, and Kyle.
But like as you go through, there's certain people that kind of can fit into some of these worlds and these like the symbol as opposed to the specific person in the suit, the symbol of the suit. But there are others that can't. Batman is Batman.
But you know what though? Robin is a mini.
Yeah, right. So like there's Robin is whoever the fuck he can get that isn't broken, that doesn't get killed or horribly like fucked in the head, so he ends up doing messed up shit and then comes back as Nightwing. But like if you're hitting a point where you're having to completely change everything about what a character is, you're not writing that character anymore. You're capitalizing on a character's popularity and their namesake, and you're writing something else entirely. In which case, write your own fucking character. and
You're
don't
co-opting an IP to fucking show your own shit.
exactly. And that's probably where I'm the most frustrated when it comes to how the big two happens to they don't expectation manage. That's the problem. Is what they do is they rely on your expectation to be up here for what it's always been, and they will deliver so far below that, and they'll say, you know what, not only do we understand that we're delivering all the way down here, we also understand that you're a collector and you're gonna fucking whatever shit we put out, so we don't care. And that's what we're gonna do.
It's a corporate machine. It's a corporate machine. They didn't start reading comics as a kid. They don't love these characters the way that we love them. They didn't pick up certain books, and those books, I mean, I remember where I was with certain books, like when I read certain events, I was just like, when Vindicator died, or when I was reading, Death in the Family. I mean, it's like, I remember when I picked it up. I remember when I read it. I remember how I felt, and it's like, it's different because it's a corporate machine for them, and we have to, but it's their IP. So I mean, the crappy thing is there's just not a lot that we can do about that. I mean,
these things have become multi-million-dollar, billion-dollar movies. So now they're film franchises as well, and there's the possibility that any of these IPs that they now own can become a film franchise if handled properly. If you get a James Gunn, you know what I mean? So now the source material doesn't matter so much. The source material that had heart and soul, like when we were growing up, like that because that's how they were making their money. They're part of big corporate entities now, like you're saying. They make money with these fucking movies. The source material doesn't matter. They shit this stuff out just so they can maintain the IP.
Well, and they're looking at everything else like the story is inconsequential because the merchandise and all of the gimmicks and the bullshit that they can put out, that's what's really pulling in their money. So you know what? The movie doesn't have to be great, but that movie, look at Birds of Prey. Birds of Prey came out. You go into Hot Topic and Spencer's, you can buy the entirety of Harley Quinn's bullshit, trash, garbage costume that she was wearing.
Literally, Barbie. Yay!
They had every single aspect of her costume opening week. It was in Hot Topic and Spencer's, ready for you to purchase, because it isn't about the character. It's not about the story of the movie. It's about the image and all of the merchandise. That's what they're making it all. Oh, okay.
Hey, the pros, all the pros, like Dan Panosian posted something on Facebook. He's like, yeah, the DC thing. They barely mentioned the comics. He's like, nah. Everybody's like, fuck it. Go make your own shit. Dan Panosian, Billy Tucci. Like, if these big guys are saying go make your own shit, go make your own shit.
Yeah.
Like,
you know what killed me is when Jim Lee was like, oh, for those of you that like to collect comics.
Seriously.
Like, that was a forgotten thing. Like, oh, yeah.
Oh, for those of you who remember those ancient things.
But it's true, because like whenever I go to a con, not this year, but whenever I go to a con, whenever I'm in a mall, I'll try to ask teenagers if I'm, see kids playing video games or something. And I'll say, are any of you guys into comics? Like, what do you collect or anything? Every kid I ever ask is like, nah, man, I'm not into comics. So, and that's the problem, right? And that's why at least part of why the big two are, totally getting away from it, because they know the money is not there anymore.
Well, they artificially inflate the market by doing these hyper exclusive, like, ooh, the fucking variant covers that you got to buy 45 fucking copies of the single issue that's not going to fucking sell, and then sit in the back, just so you can get this one cover that you can sell for fucking 50, 60, 70, or whatever bucks. And it's like, come on, that's really, is that what we are? I thought we were telling stories. I thought we were like, does anybody finish runs anymore? Does anybody collect to finish like a run of a series anymore, or is it just key issues?
You know what? Jason Aaron's story run was like the last one from Marvel that because I was like, ooh, that God Butcher arc. Which, you know what, he actually created a new villain for that. That was just so amazing, and he kept coming back and like little hints and sprinkles, and the final conclusion with a 4-issue like King Thor, and there was issues like there was definitely parts where I was like, oh God, Jason, you can write good, and then you can also write like, are you held hostage? What is this? But you're fighting Exorbiting Man and using like Twitter comics. What is this? But for the most part, when it comes to runs, though, I don't collect runs of like I'll collect runs of like Hickman because he writes for like Omnibus, and I enjoy him as a writer. His X-Men does seem to be running in place, but if I'm collecting a run, it's like an image book, where most image books, unless it's Spawn and Savage Dragon, they're like, yo, we have an ending. This is, only meant to be 50 issues.
Right.
Well, and that's the thing. I think that, like, I would be a lot more forgiving if they had, characters that were going through a specific run of, this is the story that we're telling with this character, and this is what Batman is going to be for this story run, and they kept to it. But they don't keep to it because they see that it starts to sell really well, and then they extend it longer, and then they drag it out, and people change contracts halfway through this story run, and then the new people come in and want to put their mark on it, and they change everything about it. And it's like, no, if they hired a team and that was the team, and you were doing like 50 comics and that was it, I would be so much more forgiving of them changing everything that we know about Batman for, a 50 comic run. If I don't like it, I won't purchase that run. That's fine. But that's not what they do. They drag it out, and they make it pervasive in every other fucking crossovers and merchandise, and like fucking just everywhere. Like, everything's got to have its own movie now. And I honestly, movies in general, I'm disillusioned with at this point, but especially movies based off of comic books, I don't even give a fuck anymore. And I used to love them. I used to think that they were really fun, entertaining. I don't care. I just don't care, because I know at some point someone's going to say some bullshit. I'm going to feel preached at, and I'm just going to be like, I'm done. I'm out. And I'm going to walk away deflated. Just me?
No, not just you.
I feel like that about all movies.
Yeah, I hate movies.
Well, Buddy, you're a Debbie Downer for the most part.
Buddy and
you're
Will
Buddy,
need
but
to
you're like an anti-Buddy.
Buddy and Will
really
need
not.
to go to like a tea house together and sip their tea and talk about how everything that everybody likes ever is shit. Like,
I would do that with Buddy,
be
though.
so happy.
I would have a grand time. Like, he would drink tea, I would drink milk, and we'd just be like, let's talk about how bad this is. This is wonderful.
I mean, if you spent a day with me, it'd probably be, we would
Terrible.
probably be like more like fixing networks, going to, helping my parents with their construction and working out. That's about all I do.
Oh my goodness.
But I'm sorry, movies do suck. I mean, tell me what movie is any good in the last like 10 years that wasn't like trying to tell you something to think, And here's the problem with movies and comics too, getting older. If you choose to get any wiser, is that when you have eyes that can see, when you get older, you realize, holy crap, look at all the nasty shit in these movies. Especially Steven Spielberg movies, man. It's like all this pedophilia imagery, and I'm like, ugh, I'm not gonna watch this anymore. Fuck that guy. I will never watch a Spielberg movie ever again.
I like Moana.
Like Moana. I don't trust it. I don't trust the Devil Mouse. I just don't trust him anymore.
Did he say Milana or Moana? What?
Mulatto? What would you say? Like Moana?
Right. the
Moana?
Disney. Moana.
I thought he said iguana.
I remember when Moana came out, and they.
I love land.
Do you remember when that movie came out?
He likes crumb chicken and.
They eat iguanas down there, don't they?
We certainly do.
Yeah.
Not me
It's
personally, but
Australia.
people
They
do.
eat and kill any and everything.
We
That whole island is a
eat
death
kangaroo
trap.
here, and kangaroo is our national.
Have you ever had Vegemite?
It comes up every single
Yeah,
stream.
how is kangaroo?
You know what? I've had kangaroo jerky. That actually was
You
good.
jerked off a kangaroo?
No, I didn't jerk off a kangaroo. You jerked off a kangaroo. I've seen your OnlyFans. It was disgusting.
Thanks for the invite to the show.
Yeah, I look. Shit happens around here sometimes. I can't wait for Sai to come back in October and be like,
"Ooh, Kubo
okay,
and the 2 strings. That was
Writing-
mentioned in the
Writing
comments.
Prose is
That is
under-
actually dope."
Shut the fuck up.
Oh, no, I'm good.
Damn it. I can't wait for Sai to come back in October and go, Writing Prose is under new management. All y'all motherfuckers are going to be muted until I unmute you for you to talk. For that exact fucking reason, Justin. Damn it. Every time.
I mean, I saw Kubo and the 2 strings. I got hyped.
That was a good movie. I enjoyed it.
I couldn't get through it at all.
What?
I tried like 3 or 4 different times, and every single time I was just like,
That's
no.
cool.
That animation movie. No, I thought that was pretty good.
I wanted to like it. It just, for whatever reason, it didn't register. Moana, however, I purchased.
Maybe you have no heart.
She has the heart of Tafiti. She saw Moana.
That's me. You picked the wrong one.
I don't know. Luke, I've been hanging around you a little bit.
In theater, I don't see a movie. I don't watch movies at home for whatever reason.
Well, they're $30 now, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that what they're charging to see a movie on, like, released direct to your
Mulan.
TV?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'd rather.
That should
I'd
just
rather
be
feel fear
entitled
than
China
illegally
Did It
off
Better.
there.
Go watch it over there.
oh my gosh. Does anybody have anything else that they want to talk about when it comes to expectation management? I know we kind of got off kind of off topic, but not really. Not as much as
Jacking off kangaroos is pretty off topic.
okay.
Hey, that was from the Aussie himself. That's full Aussie right there.
Liner asides, we don't count as off the rails around here because we've had 30-minute tangents on shit that wasn't related. So
I think there's a certain expectation management for, especially in the indie community, for first writers or first, like when it's your first book and you're putting it out there. A lot of people, especially because there have been some guys and girls that have gotten $30,000-$40,000. I just got a survey for a $50,000 book, and they were like, "How did you like it?" And I'm like, "It hasn't come yet. I don't know."
There's your expectation right there.
And so what is the expectation of a fledgling creator in the customer's eyes?
Ooh,
I think delivery is a big one that you're not going to just run off with their money.
Yeah.
I mean, I think let's go after the bare minimum. You get the book,
right?
Past that, what's your expectation?
It's funny, buddy. What I've noticed is that there seems to be kind of a lot of goodwill in the indie community, and it seems like I don't notice a lot of people demanding kind of a standard. I just don't see it. I think they're just happy that there's content in the indie community. I think when it starts to proliferate more and you start to get a baseline of like the staples of that community, people will start making comparisons to the big things and say it's got to be like that, or if it's not like that. I think right now it's like the Wild West, right? So it's tough to say what people are expecting. I think as long as you didn't look like you shat it out, you put some kind of work into it.
I disagree.
On this note, I'm actually going to be heading out. I would love to continue, but
Bye,
5 in the
Justin.
morning comes kind of early.
Yeah, no problem, Justin. Thank you for coming by. Make sure you go and back Unstitched.
And that shit is magical.
Right? How many
Dan
bears do you
Vegas
have
said that
left?
shit is magical. He's the #1 backer. We got 2 bears left. Shay was the first person to buy a bear. And we have a hospital bundle if you want to give like $100 and donate to charity.
That's how Justin got me to
Boom.
back twice because I was like, man, kids. Gotta go to the kids. That sounds awesome.
Yep. All right. Have a good night, everyone.
Night, Justin.
Good night, man.
So one of the things that you had said, well, I actually kind of disagree with. Of course I expect you to deliver a book. But while people may not be publicly vocal about critiquing or criticizing other creatives' works because people have done it before and it hasn't exactly gone well. People start throwing in accusations like, oh, you said that my book sucked and now all of my sales dropped and I got a bunch of refunds. And it's like, I'm sorry if people wanted to agree with me instead of take the gamble, but that's also part of marketing. That's the power of consumerism. But because people don't want to be accused of doing stuff like that, they may not be super vocal necessarily. Welcome, Vaughn. How are you?
What's up?
But yeah, I think that people do have an expectation of new writers and new creators, and if you fall short of that expectation, what ends up happening is they just don't support you as much. They don't they probably aren't going to push you on social media. They're not going to back you again, and they're going to have conversations and debates offline where it isn't in the public eye, where they're going to talk about the aspects they didn't like of what you did, and potentially that can have a snowball effect. So I know for me, if I'm giving a creator my hard-earned cash that I work 2 to 5 jobs for, depending on what day of the week it is, I expect that you're going to give me something that's going to be entertaining, that I'm not going to necessarily regret. I have only backed maybe 2 books that I did not expect to like because I wanted to support a friend or a creator. And I gotta say, there's a lot more books that I received that I was heavily disappointed in. And there's a lot of, because of trends that I've seen, there are certain writers, there are certain artists, and there are certain editors. Like I now have editors that I've seen who have edited multiple projects, and the stuff that I saw come out of that project from a fellow editor standpoint was so abysmal. If their name is on it as an editor, I'm very hesitant about backing it because I don't believe they're doing their job. I don't think that they're going to do something good. And I think I'm going to be frustrated at what the potential of the book could have been versus what I had in my hand.
People forget that a good editor is just can change it all. Just gives you that high.
I would love to get my hand on Shay's blacklist.
Right? Let's avoid all these people. No.
Oh, that list is under lock and key because heaven forbid I get threatened with canceling people or what. I don't give a do what you want to do, but I know what I'm happy to back and what I'm never backing again. And my list keeps growing.
I gotta get out of here in a few minutes, but I'll let me follow up on what you just said, because when I first got into like crowdfunding and stuff, I was backing a lot of projects just to, like you say, just to support people. Didn't really matter what they were doing. I was just there to help them get to where they were going.
Sure.
But then in the last like year or so, I kind of realized that there's so many people out there, like Will was saying, it's the Wild West, and there's so many independent creators out there that don't really care about their backers, and they're just got their own kind of agenda, and they just want to be able to say that they published something or whatever. And so now I'm really particular, and I really only kind of go after projects that look like they're really respecting who their audience is, and they're trying to do the best that they can do, and they're being really respectful. Like, I'm taking somebody's money. They probably have a family and they could be buying food and it's only a few bucks, but whatever, so that's where I go. So
I think in a couple of years it'll stabilize, and a lot of the grifters they'll get selected out by when the scene stabilizes into those kind of, it's not everyone's homesteading as opposed to raiding in the Wild West. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting to see exactly what people like. We ended up doing this on the Powerpuff Girls of CG, which I was super shocked about, because Carla said, I want us to talk about projects that we're excited about, things that'll make us back versus things that'll keep us from backing. And we were talking about specific projects and how we felt about specific projects and the way that they handle things. And I was really shocked because I thought it was going to turn into, oh, look at what a bitch or a bigot or an asshole or whatever all various people are. And like Yetzabel and I disagreed. on a specific book, and she was like, yeah, I loved it, I thought it was great, I thought it was really entertaining, and I was like, I felt like it was rushed, and I felt like it was just trying to get one liner after one liner, and I didn't enjoy it. And then I got to turn around and talk about a book that I really enjoyed, and she was like, yeah, I haven't even heard of it, and so we're able to have like honest discussions, which I didn't think was going to happen, but
That's
when it
important.
it is, and I think it's something that we need a lot more of. It's easier to do when it's not just one person talking about a book, because when it's one person talking about a book by themselves, it's really, really hard for it to not sound like all you're doing is shitting on a person personally for something they've done professionally.
Right.
And I think that's when we're talking about constructive criticism, people get butthurt really easy.
I think people need to get over that. I mean, if you
I
want your art
agree.
to be great, people are going to criticize it. They're going to come at you. They're going to, even if they love it, they're going to tell you what's wrong with it. Especially if they love it, they're going to be, what happened to this?
Right.
I mean, it's
Totally.
like,
It was
and,
so
and
good in
sometimes, yeah, and it's like, I don't know. I think that helps in a lot of ways.
Sure. Constructive criticism is always helpful.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you go to any kind of like, I don't know, what was the Madison Avenue, like advertisement schools back in the day, you go read about those kind of programs. Do you know what they did for the first like 2-3 years? They just yelled at each other. They would make a project and yell at each other. They'd make a project and you'd have people like, Frazetta, like, with him and, cohorts. And they would be like, well, this sucks. You want me to tell you why? And they did that for 3 years. And then by the time 3 years is over, you're like, you know what? That's not bad.
Okay. Huh. Did not know that, but makes sense.
I mean, it's like if you want to be a good lumberjack, like what do? You build up like the skin on your hands, you build up your upper body, you get strong, you're able to do it. But I mean, being an artist, people need to let you know you need to build up a thick skin for these criticisms that are going to come your way, because it's just part of it. There's no escaping it.
Well,
I do work as a graphic designer. You've got to be able to, rework what the client wants, because I did a project, reworked it like a dozen times and never quite got what the client wanted, and sometimes that's how it goes.
Real quick, Mike, you got to run. Go ahead and plug your book real fast before you dip out.
It's a Lucent on Indiegogo. Back it now. Cheers, guys. Great conversation. See you later. Bye.
Bye. I love that he had to bounce because he has his own show he's about to do. And Nick, do you also got to go?
I gotta go. Yeah, I'm not gonna plug a book or anything, but it was nice meeting everybody. Nice chatting. Nice hanging. Thanks for having me here.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll get everything updated so you know how you can follow Nick and back all of these awesome projects and get what's new and everything. So
right on.
I'll add you
Take it
into
easy.
that. Bye, Nick. Awesome sauce. Sorry, I didn't. I gotta try. I'm trying to keep up on the chats and the actual conversation.
Juggling.
Yeah, I was gonna say something that I thought was kind of interesting is you've got like Chris saying that he likes to back underdogs. He doesn't like to back books that are already funded. He likes to back stuff that is trying to get to funded.
Sure.
Which I think is cool. And ideas you're talking about. So they go after Ethan's art all the time. Okay, here's the difference. Ethan is a pro. So Ethan is fair game, right? Ethan's fair game. If people wanted to go after Dan's fair game. Graham Nolan, these guys like Malin, they're pros in the industry. They're people that you can criticize. What I'm talking about is how do you criticize somebody that you haven't heard of? Because that is where people are getting butthurt. Now, I agree. Buck up and get some thick skin. I get pissed off when I show my work to my friends and all my female friends are like, oh my gosh, it's so good. And I'm like, oh, I hate you. They're like, what? I'm like, no, like you're just saying that because yay, girl power. Let's lift each other up. Like, no, tell me what sucks about it. And they're like, no, I really like it. I swear. And I'm like, oh. So then I will start sending it to all my male friends because most of my guy friends will be like, Yeah, it was pretty good. You had a really fucked up stanza in there, and I'm like, ooh, which one? What did I fuck up? Like, show me. Let me make it better. But like girls, I feel like women have this idea that we can't criticize other women because then that's us like giving into the patriarchy or something ridiculous like that. I want to tell everyone if your stuff is good or not. I want to tell you if your
about revenge. That's all.
That too. Women are petty.
Mascara. You look like a raccoon.
Yeah,
it's hard to get the criticisms from the parents and the friends, though. I mean, they want to support you. I get it.
Right.
But yeah, get some artist friends who'll tell you how it is. You know, they'll let you know.
So what you want to do is meet some broken assholes that are just
like us.
Yeah,
you are
exactly.
all about the broken assholes tonight.
We're here for you, Shay.
Yeah, I kind of agree with Christy that I read everything once, then it goes on the shelf. Helping people realize their dreams is more important to me. That is definitely the bigger pull for me in a lot of my initial CG backings. My repeated backings, that's where it changes. So I might back you the first time because you know what? I want to see you succeed. I want to see you get funded. I want to see stuff happen. I want to help be a part of the hands that held you up and got you to, do your first funded book. If I get it and it's garbage, the second time around, this is going to be a very hard sell for me to give you that money for a second time. If I see something in it that might be good, that just needs to be refined, then I'm all down for offering insight.
If there's a nugget of
that's
talent
what it
in
should
there.
be, offering insight. It should always be about helping the person sharpen their skills to get better. It shouldn't be about tearing them down.
Well, it shouldn't be personal. I mean, it's not ad hominem. You know what I mean? We're not making a personal attack on somebody.
Exactly.
If I look at your writing and I'm like, look, I just didn't care about the hero at all.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And I've read a lot of stories like that where it's like, I just didn't care. Like, it was okay, but I just didn't care.
Yeah. There's no oomph. There's no impact.
Right. Well, and that's the thing is it's like there's some books where I'm like, I'm okay with your writing and I feel like it can go somewhere. This story, disliked. So if you do a 2 of this story, I'm probably not going to back it. But if I had that little nugget of like, this is actually interesting, then I might, give a different IP a shot that you're doing. But there's some people that I've read and I've been like, oh, that was rough. And then I read a second one from them on a different IP and I was like, oh, that was worse than the first one. Like, no, I'm out. I'm done. I'm not giving you my money again because obviously, and like for some people, I know that they've gotten the criticisms because they ask for honest opinions from me, from people I know what we've said to them. And then I see the garbage that they put out for the second time. I'm like, man, you just don't give a fuck. Like, okay, well, I'm out. And that's how you lose support. But I don't know. That's interesting. So quiet. Oh my gosh, what is with this?
How do you manage expectations on Monster MD, Vaughn?
Does manage expectations?
That is the title of this.
Yeah.
Vaughn's like writing prose and Joyce is like, what's the topic?
Do you mean like when it comes to me and my audience, or just me and my team making it?
Both.
Yeah.
Both?
Yes.
Well, I mean,
he's like, damn it! I just came in from work. I wasn't expecting.
I know.
It.
No, I was
There
out.
should be nowhere to go and everywhere to go at once.
I was like, this is like we're
I was out drinking, and now I'm here. And
I was like, yeah,
I'm
we're what happens
expectations?
after Vaughn doesn't pick up a date, you know?
I dropped off my date, dude.
There you go.
She's fine. I'm still scared that my face is a little red from it. Anyway, so like, so it was expectations. I had expectations of my team that they just totally lived up to. I didn't really have to like lay any of that on them. Any edit I wanted, they were really smooth about and cool with, and they just let me do my thing, and they did theirs, and we made a killer book. When it comes to audiences, I mean, I just try to stay as excited as I can be and keep their and keep things honest and realistic, transparent. No, no nonsense with me when I update, when I communicate with fans or people who have questions. I mean, I keep that stuff in check with just good old fashioned truth, baby. And yeah, I don't know. When it comes to my expectations for books, I'm very meticulous about building a solid work document that we can work from to make this vision come to life. So I guess that's how I do it. I manage it by putting forth like as much detail into the world I can. I do the character designs myself. I get all the image boards going. I get, I write the hell out of it. I try to make sure my first draft, even though I know things are going to change, or what I give, what we use as the script for creating the book is as well polished as possible, even though I know things are going to change. I think that is a really good way to keep everybody on board with what I expect quality wise. So yeah, I mean, it's about communication. It's about good visuals and strong imagery and a strong visual goal for the whole team to get on board with and be on the same page with. From the start, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, so you build the door to close and it closes.
Exactly. It can even open if you need it.
Oh,
yeah.
shit.
That's how doors do their thing.
You guys know that story, right? There was like a Chevy inspector. He was like, he went across like 37 factories in America, and they always hammered the door shut when it came off the assembly line. He went to, they actually had a factory in Japan, and they went there and they didn't have a hammer. And he's like, "Where's your hammer?" And he's like, "Hammer?" And then he's like, "How are you going to close the door?" And he's like, "We did not close
with my hand."
We made it so it closes. How is this a question?
It's like we designed it to close.
That's fair. That's fair. You should, design things to work as you hope they do. Oh my
You're also setting expectations ahead of time. Like this is what it is. This is what you do.
Exactly.
It's weird. That word expectations messes with me though, because I don't think about my work in terms of expectation. I think of it in terms of I'm going to do this and this is going to happen and it's going to be awesome.
That's the way you should write a story.
I use hope. I mean, there's hope, but I feel like if it's just all set up and designed properly, like you'll get there, get what you want, get the right team.
I think that is the way you do that. Like, I mean, if you're a new creator or you're doing that, it's like, okay, especially like, if you've already crowdfunded your, base time or whatever, your primary amount of time, you're like, okay, I've done my, 1 month or 2 months. I've done, this is how much money I have. This is what I'm going to do. I made it. I'm going to create this. And then you say, all right, I have this much money for rewrites or something else. And there is a lot of management in this entire process, and you're like, this could be better. Like, I remember I saw like a panel of yours that was like, we even went over the dirt,
Yeah, that was awesome.
Just imagine him being like, goes back and he's like, okay, you're awesome, but
that dirt. The
dirt.
You know what's my colorist just did that on her own though, so I was just kind of giving her a little wink and a nod for being so awesome and just making sure that every panel was just a work of art.
I just thought it was funny. I was like, okay,
this guy's going all out.
Well, I mean, when you see that, obviously, like you're meticulous, right? I mean, somebody that that's like what I can say. What I was going on earlier about. When I said about Will is that I know, and I think Fraga knows the same thing. Is like if I was going to hire somebody, wouldn't you want to hire somebody that's got a chip on their shoulder and is going to do more than expected?
Mm-hmm.
That is going to work hard.
Oh yeah,
because then you have less to worry about because they're trying to prove something and they're not going to prove it by half-assing it.
Right. Yeah, like John Hervey with his 172-page book.
Yeah.
Hey, well, you know what? That was a big undertaking, but it was also about getting the right team. I've worked with Rod for a number of years, and part of it is you've written a story, and you've massaged it, and you've gone over it many times, and ultimately, it's still an iterative process. But then once we started working on the book, you're headed down the right path when you have your pages, and you're like, okay, now I got to be super anal about who's going to ink these things. Like every layer, you want it to be additive. you know, and you want it to be like people are bringing something better to the table. And then, okay, now who in the world would I let color this now? You know, now that I got these pages. And then things that, you know, it's funny. I think sometimes I've seen some books that are actually pretty well produced, except for the letters suck. But that totally takes away from the book.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
I mean, it's like every element, every layer in the process, you have to purpose it to be awesome, and you can't settle for less. And I think that was just a big part of the process. Just saying, like, look, you know, I think I've got a great story here. I'm going to get the best penciler that I can, and then the best inker, and then the best colorist, and then the best letterer, and then you realize that you've kind of assembled Voltron, man. You've just formed Voltron, and you've got something that's more powerful than its parts. You know, you've got a book. I mean, yeah, I created that book and I wrote it, but it's so much better than just what I simply wrote. You know, and I think when you come away with a book like that, then you say, you know what, I'm excited. I'm honestly excited, and we're fulfilling now, and we're getting the books into people's hands, and I'm excited about that. You know, and that's where I think that's where we all want to be.
Yeah. So that whole creative process is about. You got a story to tell. And you're excited to tell that fucking story. You have the passion to tell that story. You get a passion to make your audience excited about that story.
So really, like, what would come down to the expectation is that we would make something that is so good that if we like it, then they'll like it too.
Exactly.
At the end of the day, we're all kind of fanboys at heart, right? So, I mean, you know, with that said, and one of the things that I appreciate about really, really well done indies as I read them is I feel like it's kindred spirits, you know, and we took a big chunk of this show kind of talking about what's been going on with the big two and stuff like that. You know what? I'm not as disenfranchised by that as I was. Because really, more of my consumer dollars have gone to indie books as opposed to just the big two. And Will's right; it's still the Wild Wild West. I mean, I get stuff that's amazing, and then I get stuff that's just like, oh, okay, you got my money. But you know, but it's this is like Will said, it's kind of the Wild Wild West right now, and I am okay investing in it like that, you know, because I have invested so much money over the years into the books with the big two. And you know what? I have story arcs that I absolutely love and I could reread and I can reread. Now I'm just at a place where I'm like, you know what? I got to be good with what I already got from them because that's not coming back.
Yeah.
You know, and if I keep putting my dollars in there, then guess what? Then I'm funding something that I'm unhappy with. Then that's on me. That's on me at that point.
Exactly.
So
it's the power of consumerism.
So I want to vote with my dollars. So I'm voting with my dollars, and you know that's why I'm supporting so many indie books. And you're right, Shay. Some of them, you know, some of the books are questionable, and it doesn't mean I won't potentially back those folks again. I just got to see progress. Like if their next book I see that they're headed in a good direction, I may back again. But like you said though, if it's just somebody that's just kind of raking it in and they're just, you know, kind of, you know, putting out a crappy product and they're not looking to improve their craft. If they're not treating it like a business, then they don't need my money.
Exactly. That's exactly how I feel when it comes to
and I also think the high cost of the indie books is going to help stabilize the expectations because the average cost of an indie book is what, $25? And you know, you've got 10, 15 of those things, that's going to add up, right? And so you can't afford to go into the comic shop and buy a stack of 250 books, right? That are $250 a piece. You're going to say, okay, I can only afford to back 2 projects. I'm going to really pay attention to the quality of the project. So I think like I said, it's going to self-select eventually. And there is going to be a definite bar set. But as we said before, and as we reiterated just now, it is the Wild West. There's some grifters in there. There's people just kind of coming in to make a buck. Say they got published, maybe they can hop on to the other 2, but there will be a standard set just by the cost of making these books alone.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, well, guys, it is a little bit past midnight and Shay needs to get up early. So I think this is probably a good point for us to wrap. We're almost at 2 hours. So let's just go around the room and let everybody talk about where you can be found and what projects you're on. I've updated it on Facebook. YouTube is being a bitch. I'll have to do it after it loads up, but I will get everybody's contact info and stuff updated in the description so you guys can find it easier. But take it away, Luke.
You can find me on Twitter and YouTube and Instagram at Death Metal Hero. Do all kinds of things. Mostly, I just scream into a mic and a camera on the sing-along of Doom. Hit the bell, notifications, and come scream along with me. I'll take your favorites and I'll mangle them horribly. I'm also working on Shade Horror. So.
Slip that in there really confidently. Well.
So yes, I am the co-writer of Black Flag with the amazing Dan Frega, who is the creator and the artist. We are now in demand. We have shirts available for AAT. If you guys want to get some AAT, please go over and get some AAT.
Yes.
And don't forget, we have the Rob Willis cover. It's still there. You can get the line art version or the color version. And it's coming together, the book. It's no longer speculation. It's taking shape, especially the 0.5 book. So if you want to know how Bubble got her bubble on, you can go and back Black Flag and get your 0.5 book with it.
Hell yeah. Ass titty tease. I like it. Ass titty tease. Perfect. John.
Yes, ma'am. Well, John Hervey. You can find me on Twitter and on Instagram at Beyond Time Inc. Inc. Beyond Time Inc. You can find me on Facebook. Yeah, actually, I have a Facebook page at Beyond Time Comics. And my current campaign is Black Tiger: Legacy of Fury. All 172 pages are complete. The book is complete. So, from the soft cover graphic novel is here, and it's a thick one. It's a biggin. It's a biggin. Right. Guys save lives, baby. So, would love your support, and hey, feel free to follow me. I'll follow you back, and I try to be good about being responsive to people.
Awesome, buddy.
Hey, I am Buddy Lord, writer of Sins of the Fae. It's a great urban fantasy alternate world kind of comic book if you're into that kind of thing, and everybody should be because, sin is fun. But basically it is about forgotten gods. Think like Cthulhu, want to enslave Earth and, destroy humanity. And the Fae have always stood in their way. They've always been standing there protecting you, but not anymore.
Oh, no.
And the book is going to find out, in the book, you're going to find out why, and you're going to come to know a family that is your only hope. So check it out.
Sweet. Mr. Monster, you are up.
Hey, everybody. I'm Vaughn. I make Monster MD. Doctor to local monsters wants out of his job, but they need him more than ever. He needs them more than ever. Let's see if they can work it out. There's a masked madman running around who took Dr. Black's arm and ruined his medical career back in the day, and now he's coming after monsters. So please check out the book. It's on Indiegogo, still in demand. Kick-ass book, kick-ass art, awesome everything. Please check it out. Thank you.
Oh yeah, don't forget about the pigeon. The pigeon is currently being organically worked out on this stream between I and old Frankie.
The pigeon. What was the other one? There was another one.
No, we're starting with the pigeon. We're not gonna
midget circus clowns or something.
I don't know. It was messed
up.
No.
It was dwarven transsexual bank robbers.
There we go.
Oh yeah.
Thank you, Jason, for the $2 and the last minute derailment. As always,
that is being worked on in the same vein as the character crux. It's going to be done over.
The writer had a headache.
It's just going to be done over a period of time. And then eventually it'll be something.
When Frankie stops dying, he'll come on. We'll work on it some more.
Oh my gosh. At this point, I really want to see the pigeon come to life just because I think it would be the most hilarious.
I think Frankie's the guy to write it, personally.
I do too. He actually messaged in our DM group and he wanted to say he was sorry he couldn't make it. Poor dude's been suffering from a pretty bad headache all day. So we missed you, Frankie. We didn't get to plug the pigeon until the very, very end. And I feel like it would have been a much expectation management of the pigeon. Now I feel like it's beyond what you guys are going to
gotta happen now, you know.
Yeah, it will happen.
Vaughn is writing a short story, you know.
Vaughn's writing.
Vaughn's like, I am what?
From egg to hatchling. He's writing the pre. Yeah. Okay. So for me, I actually have something that I'm gonna pseudo pitch, and I have totally not checked at all with Jason about this, but fuck it. So Shay, obviously I've got this channel. Please make sure that you like, share, and subscribe to Red Valkyrie. We love all of you guys. You're amazing. And we're going to be doing our super awesome giveaway for us getting monetized in October. That's coming up. We're looking at a little over 30 days before we're in the month of October, and we'll figure out what day exactly we're going to do it. But it's going to be awesome. I've got art. I've got comics. I've got all kinds of cool shit I'm giving away. It's going to be amazing. The thing that I get to pseudo pitch, I am working with Jason on his book Absolute. I've been helping with some of the edits and stuff like that. And I'm telling you right now, go back to the book. It's a really good story. It was really, really fun to read and work through. And he's definitely got a gem. Not to mention the artwork is beautiful.
I want to go back and get a page. I think I'm going to go back and back it again for a page.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I've already pissed off Jason. I'm very happy about that. Yes, definitely make sure that you go check out Absolute. The artwork is phenomenal. The story is really engaging. It's a very, very fun book, and it's something that you definitely are going to be kicking yourself in the ass if you miss out on. So go check that out. Next, Writing Prose, I will have a second thing I get to pitch as well, which is going to be super exciting. So yeah. Other than that, thank you guys all for coming out. Love all of you so very much. And Jason says, if you want it back for a page, he won't refuse.
I'm going to do it.
And it looks like Chris is backed him. So look, see, I'm helping. Don't be too mad at me, because I definitely did not talk to him before I just blew that straight out of the water. But it's fine. It's my channel. I'll do what I want. But yeah, other than that, just thank you everyone for coming out. Thank you for the discussion. This was actually a really, really fun time. And again, share this out. The description, everything should be in there now. There's a ton of great projects. There's a lot of awesome people to go follow. Make sure that you don't miss out. Thank fuck Jason isn't mad at me. Yeah, and we will catch you guys next Sunday. We'll see you later.
Wait. Buddy Lord is a straight porno name.